Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to this insightful thematic session at World Food India 2025 on plant-based foods powering the future of sustainable nutrition. As the world seeks healthier, sustainable, and climate-friendly food solutions, plant-based food are emerging as the cornerstone of the future. Today's session brings together industry leaders, innovators, and global experts who are shaping this transformative movement. To guide us through the discussion, we have with our esteemed moderator, Mr. Abhishek Gupta, who is partner at Ernst Young LLP. With his deep understanding in business strategy and sector consulting, he will steer today's conversation so that we gain most from our distinguished panel. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Vandana. Very good morning to all of you, and apologies for this 5-6 minutes of delay. I would just like to quickly introduce our panelist here today for talking about the positioning of India at the global level. We have Mr. Vikas Gupta, who's the president and head of R&D at Tata Consumer Products. To talk about startups, entrepreneurship, innovation, we have Ms. Pranjali Garg. She's the co-founder at ProMeat. Mr. Raj Ganguly, he's a senior agribusiness specialist, and Mr. Anton Benjamin. They are going to talk about, again, innovation and linking it to wellness and nutrition. And then we have Mr. Purushottam Nagar to talk about some of the regulatory and trained landscapes in this particular area. I can't emphasize enough the importance of this topic, and it's very close to my heart, to be very honest to you. I've been reading a lot, I've been listening a lot about plant-based food, and a lot of research has been done and is being done, especially in the Western world, including the US. And I'll just quote a few things which, again, have stuck to me while in my last few months of research on this topic. And this is all recognized, credible research I'm talking about. When we talk about some of the diseases like cancer or heart ailments, which are the biggest cause of deaths across the world, the research suggests that only less than 10% is due to genetic reasons. 90% and beyond is due to your food and, of course, lifestyle. Number two, and I'm not being judgmental here, I'm not trying to be an advocate of no animal-based food. I'm just trying to throw some numbers at you. I'm just trying to tell you what research has suggested across the world. Number two, there is an Indian scientist who has actually done research to suggest that when you eat anything, for that matter, an animal or a plant, the cell membranes from that animal's body, of course, whichever part you're eating, that stays with you for life. So whatever that animal went through from birth to death, all the recordings in the cell membrane, they are going into your body as well. Whatever torture, whatever happy times the animal went through, that gets inside your body and it stays. And as a cause of some of these research, and there is the list is very long, and I can quote many such research around plant-based and animal-based food. The effect of that is federal governments, international governments. When I say federal governments, California has clearly said no to animal-based food in the schools, in the government schools. It is only about plant-based foods. Canada has taken out, in their entire food value chain, the Canadian government authorities have taken out animal-based foods. The WHO, and I was talking about internationally, WHO has put meat, red meat, etc. in the category of tobacco. So you can imagine that these research are being recognized, duly recognized by the authorities as well. Again, the whole agenda of this session is not to change your mind or not to advocate any particular type of food. It's just that there is theory, there is research to suggest that this particular subject is gaining importance. And it's a huge business potential as well, because we are ultimately going to talk about business. It has huge business potential, especially for India, where I think in our roots, it's all been about plant-based food. So with that, I will begin. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. Really appreciate you sparing your time. I would like to begin with Vikas. Vikas, since you've been working on innovation, R&D for quite some time, what are the things which, as a nation, or as even as one of the most credible corporates in the country or in the world, you've been doing to promote plant-based foods, to promote the palate of consumers, to promote from various categories, segments of consumers? What are those things in the innovation and R&D space which you've been doing?
No, thanks, Abhishek. Let me take off from the narrative which you set for the discussion. And any of you guys, if you have not watched on Netflix the Game Changer series, my invitation is please do watch it. Even a hardcore non-vegetarian like me, after watching it, tried for some time to be a vegetarian. I stayed successfully on that track for a good 3-4 months, but eventually pulled back. Okay. I'll start, Abhishek, maybe putting a bit of a context to this discussion. Since you are talking about plant-based food, traditionally India always has been a plant-based. As a diet, we have always been. Even we talk about people who eat non-vegetarian. We did some data collation maybe 3-4 years back when we were working on alternate meat. Just for a reference, we were one of the FMCG company to launch an alternate meat in India in 2021 under Simply Better brand. So when we are looking at the data and consumer insight understanding, we realize some very interesting facts. While in India we believe in India a lot of people are vegetarian, around 30% what we call pure vegetarian. For rest of the folks who claim that they are non-vegetarian, our meat consumption is roughly 3.5 kg per annum, per person, as against to a global standard of 35 kgs. Okay, 67% of Indian consumption is actually chicken, which is not considered as environmental unfriendly or have health concerns the way red meat has. We still look at milk as a gold standard. Okay, and despite significant percentage of population, numbers keep varying, some people report 40%, some 70%, depending on awareness of the lactose intolerance, people still revere milk as a gold standard, as I said. So very, very dynamic scenario. Again, talking specifically about consumers in India, the consumer need, if I say from a context of protein and therefore plant-based food, etc. While we believe we are plant-based diet or vegetarian, most of our protein comes from cereals. Okay, digestibility is an issue. Even for pulses, affordability is a concern. So when you look at Indian segment today, we are looking at two set of consumers, or two set of segments. One is what I call as protein sufficiency. Okay, so essentially people who are consuming quite a lot of plant-based diet, but then they still need either for functional needs, like for example pregnant or growing kids, where the protein requirement is very different. People who are going to gym looking for performance, and of course what I call it as core of the Indian plate, where is like what we eat, chapati, rice, dal. They are looking for better protein sources. Yeah, but then there is a protein substitution narrative. The narrative which is about what started in Western world, more conscious and responsible eating, has transformed into a fashion for, or a passion for, I would say, for a plant-based stuff. So people are looking for alternate meat, alternate dairy. Uh, Again, it is well understood, while alternate dairy took off very well. Again, the taste penalty was much lesser. Technology landscape was much easier available. But then it addressed a core unmet need of consumer, which was essentially saying, I am lactose intolerant. So I am looking for solution. However, when you come to alternate meat, the story has not been exactly the same. The taste penalty has been a major issue, despite a lot of technology interventions. While people looked at these solutions from healthy alternatives, people really realized they are not really healthy. Yeah, you are trying to mimic flavors, you are trying to create emulsifiers, stabilizers. So you end up, and I will say it in a very straight manner, you are consuming meat which is nature created, and you are trying to mimic it now in the lab, and you are adding a lot more fillers because you don't have technology solution available. So people realize that it's not taste friendly, healthy either. And one insight I'll share because of the work which we did in this, and this is from a consumer understanding. We thought since we are going to introduce plant-based meat, it will address even those set of audiences who don't eat meat today. But we are totally wrong. Because of the positioning of this as an alternate meat, did not convert vegetarians to try this out. Even if they know that this is a plant-based, but they did not try it out because they didn't like the aroma, they didn't like the palate. So I would say the proposition did not work at all. So if I therefore come back, yes, there is the whole understanding, and there is a lot of innovation opportunity. India again has a strong technology setup when it comes to biofermentation. The whole, the pharma hub what we have lend itself into fermentation technology, etc. We are the biggest producer of moong dal, chickpea in India. We happened to be as an organization in Israel a couple of years back, and it was crazy culture of how people are trying to create proteins from multiple sources. Biofermentation, creating from microbial sources, which is a sustainable way of looking at this entire plant-based narrative. So we are the we are the highest producers. But if you club technology and the agriculture produce what you have, you can actually be a global leader from not just creating products for Indian and international consumers, but also producing ingredients for those markets. Yeah, so I think the whole innovation landscape on this topic has been highly evolving. I'll probably make a last comment. If you see in last 1 year, and any claim which you put on front of pack and saying 10 gram protein per serve, 20 gram protein per serve, it's crazy right now. You get the sugar out of the product. The awareness about how much protein I get per calorie, per 100 calories is creating a lot of awareness. So yes, consumers are looking for protein in their regular diet. I just saw, I think it's ITC who launched high protein wheat flour. So you're getting the protein in the center of your plate. You are adding proteins to a regular snacking category, to water, coffee, you name it. I think so, yeah, main center of the plate to the snacking category, it's insane right now. It's absolute golden opportunity for industry to tap on it and really make the difference. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Vikas. This is very, very helpful, very insightful, and glad you made a slight bit of differentiation between plant-based meat and perhaps plant-based food category on the whole. I will come to you, Raj, and Pranjali, I'll come to you perhaps after this. Raj, despite so much being spoken about, despite so much research which has happened in this area, despite the whole research around the health benefits of plant-based food, do you think enough has been done, or do you think the opportunity is still huge, the potential is huge for entrepreneurs, MSMEs, government, businesses? Where do you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Thank you for inviting me here, and big applause to the audience. So this young minds and eager minds to discuss this important topic is very important. I think opportunity is enormous. It's not only light, but it is sunlight. Because sunlight is, keeping our planet in the entire cosmos. This is the only planet you have water, you have soil, you have plant thriving, life thriving. But when we think about health, whose health we are talking about, it's very sad, I believe, that we have restricted our thinking to only ourselves. In this anthropogenic era, we are limiting ourselves to see the opportunity. Within World Bank, the way we are thinking is that health is interconnected with the support system, like soil health is very important. If you want, plants to be in your plate, you would like to see that your soil is healthy, your water is healthy, your support mechanism, so that, the traceability that, all the toxins lands up. If you want to get spinach from the Yamuna plains, you are not sure you are getting, the palak, your palak sabji you are feeding to your kids, or you are feeding the lead and, other heavy metal contamination. So that's on the one side. I'll be limiting myself, but, the topic is very interesting. So, it propels me to think and bring the insights to you for your own reflection. The other side is the ecosystem, So on one side, soil, and every ecosystem is related to it. The honeybee visiting the flower, taking the honey out, serving you on your breakfast plate. If it visits the flower laden with pesticides and other chemicals, then you have a different storyline. So in what way we are positioning, as you rightly said, our food? So on one hand, now there is increasingly research, has been done. I have all the figures if you want, I say. That it's very critical that we understand that our health is dependent on the ecosystem health, planet health. So people health, planet health. So we are talking about one health. Even the meat eaters, they are also dependent on plant health, because the traceability, all the elements which you use in corn, to feed the pigs and the other animals, that lands there. So one fundamental principle is that our plant-based production system has to be made healthy, so that we become, healthier and contribute to a healthier planet. Yeah. Now on the opportunity side, what is plant? So plant, we see rice, wheat, corn, whosoever, tells us that whatsoever our limited thinking is. But plant is all the creatures which is doing photosynthesis from the sun. Yeah. And you have 50% photosynthesis happening in the ocean. And we have the longest, ocean, shore. How we are seeing that resource? We have seaweed, which gives you carrageenan, which lands up into your toothpaste, which lands up into your various food additives. The food additives is a huge business. Philippines is doing since ages, since 1960s. You have Indonesia, which is, a global leader. How we can have policy measures to bring in that opportunity? Forest. The entire forest, the protein you give me, when I visit forest, I see the protein is getting wasted. Yeah. The sal seed is equivalent, the fatty constituents is equivalent to cocoa butter. Now it is our choice. We import palm oil, or our samosas are fried in palm oil, or our samosas are fried in this. What a point I'm saying, that we need to understand this bioresource much more granular terms. And not only understand, but we need to respect the bioresource. The moment we respect and understand that, then with the story and the opportunity unfolds, it starts dancing with technologies like Benjamin, he will speak, which gives us to natural color, natural fragrance, natural flavor, natural ingredients, which helps us in building the longevity. Because when we are developing now, increasing urbanization and all, we are feeling that how we have left behind a planet with all the problems with growing population. So how do we see building our future together with our other species in the planet in a meaningful way so that we leave behind a healthy planet? I stop here.
Lovely.
and maybe
Thank
I'll
you.
come back.
Sure. Thank you so much. Very, very helpful. And I'm glad you linked plant-based food not just to an individual's health, but also the entire ecosystem and the sustainability campaigns we've been running. So I'm glad you spoke about that. Pranjali, I'll come to you. And you've been successfully running this, if I may call, startup, ProMeat. And I'm sure many of the students here and entrepreneurs here would love to hear from you about your story. What made you get into this field of business? What realization, not just from the perspective of perhaps what you thought as a passion, but more importantly, what supporting research made you think about this kind of adventure?
Yeah. Thank you, first of all, for having me here. And I think what really pushed me to start this venture was also because when I started, I was looking at what exactly is happening in the global world. And everybody, if you see right now, is moving towards a plant-based lifestyle. And it's very much so that people are trying to be healthier now, and they are looking for more culturally relevant options. If you see, when we started in the year 2021, at that point of time, there were few brands who were doing plant-based products in India, but majority of those products were imported. They were not just unaffordable, but also they were not very culturally relevant. Me and my co-founder, we both come from a food technology and management background. And we understood that there is a lot of potential in the India's indigenous crops that we have that can be leveraged to make better products which are not just, ethical, which are not just, on the concepts of plant-based meat, but they can serve as a much more nutritious and high protein products in general. So that's where we started out. And we started tapping into the resources that we already had. We worked with India's indigenous crops, including jackfruit, mung bean protein, pea protein, wheat fibers, oat fibers, and a lot more ingredients that we did trials with elephant foot yam being one of them. So we did realize that there is a lot of things that we can actually make from these ingredients, not just plant-based meats. So that was the initial thought process behind it. On the side of making the products more better in terms of the texture, taste, and more culturally relevant, I think on the technological perspective, we really focused on how exactly we can make better products by not just calling them, not just doing the meat mimicry, which sort of is the idea behind your soya chaps and other products which are available in the market, but to really go deep into the technology in terms of doing texture profiling, in terms of doing thermal stability of the fat, flavor release, and also working on fermentation-based umami flavors which are naturally occurring, not just adding synthetic binders or fillers to the to the products, as sir mentioned. So I think that was a key focus that we had from the very start, that we have to make products which are very technologically sound. And product engineering, which is anchored in consumer science, is something that we have really focused on. Because if you see, you have to get the right ingredients which can withstand the Indian cooking style. Because if you see that Indian cooking is actually slow cooking, which is, you have to cook the product for a very long time to get the right flavor, and the product needs to, really have the flavors embedded in it, and also take up the flavors that are added onto it. So we did a lot of trials with chefs to understand what exactly is the product format that works for the Indian market, what is the right ingredient design system that works for the Indian market in terms of the right fat release, in terms of the right flavor precursors. I think that was something that initially was the thought process behind creating the entire product. I think another very, very important point was to work with the culinary teams that we have here, because you have to make the people adopt this product, which will not just happen because you have made a technically sound product. You also have to make it very, in a way that it is actually, people are actually gravitating towards it just by, trying, tasting it for the first time. And that is where I think majority of your culinary science comes behind it. So we worked with a lot of chefs to make products which are your curries, or maybe kebabs, even global cuisines which can be easily uptaken by the consumers. So I think that was the entire thought process behind it.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Very encouraging, I'm sure, for many of the entrepreneurs who are sitting here. I'll come to you, Anton. I think we've spoken a lot about different compositions and trying different recipes, etc. From where does the whole need arise to do a lot of innovation in plant-based foods? Isn't plant-based food supposed to be simpler to serve and eat and cook instead of adding a lot of innovation, technology, R&D into it? And if yes, then what is the ultimate objective we are trying to achieve? Is it to do with taste? Is it to do with texture? Is it to do with look and feel? Is it to do with, of course, the nutritional benefits? What is the major focus of innovation there?
Thank you, Abhishek.
Sorry for posing a very difficult question.
No. It's difficult, but I can put it very simple. Thanks for this opportunity, and we basically are onto the mechanical side of the whole process. We are a German-based company, Netsch, which is actually providing the technology for size reduction technology. Now, how does that play a role with the plant-based food? For example, we talk a lot about plant-based food and what is that we are going to get out of the plant-based food. And you were telling US has already started and they are actually, evolving very fast. And we also understand that this plant-based food is a very, very, evolving and a fast emerging need even in India. Now, when it comes to plant-based food, what is that we are able to provide as a solution is to, we are having the processing systems which can process the, for example, legumes or, beans like, the yellow chickpea or, the faba bean and help to get the extracts of protein out of it. So we are basically, focusing more onto the protein shifting part of the whole plant-based food business. And we see a lot of people now, emerging in India and asking for it because people are not knowing the technology, and predominantly a lot of people are using the wet process, which is becoming a little challenging because there's a lot of chemicals which are being used in this process, which are becoming also a concern for the health. And we are getting more focus into the dry fraction of it. So how does the dry fraction of it works is that the system what we are actually, promoting into the market is a grinding system. So we are basically making powder. So how does this powder is made is that there is a technology called grinding and classifying. Now this grinding and classifying technology is basically, reduces the particle size. So when you are having an in-feed product like, let's take the case like a yellow yellow pea. And that actually goes through a process to reduce the particle size. And the first step would be to grind it and do a first classification and get the powder out of it. And after you get the powder out of it, then we do a classification process to split between the fine fraction of fine concentrates of protein, and then you also get a coarser fraction of the starch. So you can make a split between that. So this is exactly what we are getting into the, onto the process side. Now, if you ask me about the nutritional effects of it, we don't see a big impact or influence on the nutritional effects because this is completely a mechanical process. So what goes in comes as it is in terms of the recipe or the nutrition. It's only, changes the form and makes it into a powder where the protein powder is later used for various, end application.
Lovely, thank you very much. And I'll come back to you because I would love to talk about how a silbatta in an Indian household should really come and replicate a machinery.
Can I just add to what Anthony said?
And
I think
yes.
since you're talking about technology intervention, one of the interesting, and I feel sometimes we'll continue to look at staples as a staples business.
Yeah.
Dal is always looked as a dal. A lot of technology interventions are done to make dal something else. But I think there's a concentrated focus required as we look at plant-based evolution to make dal better. Yeah, nutritionally better. There are technology interventions which can probably reduce the anti-nutritional components available in the dal. The technology interventions which can make dal into much more nutritious formats of consumption. You can only consume that much as a bowl of dal as a consumer. So I feel that while technology interventions are now pivoting, making dal something else, there is a lot of scope to improve the nutritional profile of the dal, make the innovation in the format of the way you serve consumers dal, and that would make the penetration and even the protein delivery much better. Yeah, sorry, I thought I'll just add to that.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Vikas. I'll come to you, Purushottam. Since you've been, again, working in Tirupati Group on R&D for quite some time, along with plant-based foods, there is a lot to do with standards, quality assurance, labeling, the right specs. What are the challenges as a business or as a nation we are facing today when it comes to this particular area?
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek, for a good question. As a R&D guy, we are working on multiple of products, food products, and it includes not only plant-based but others also, milk-based food products, proteins, and others. So nowadays, the inquiries, basically we are a third-party company where we manufacture for our clients. So the inquiries which is coming nowadays is much for the plant-based products, plant-based foods. So the first point which comes to us is when you ask something to me that you have developed this product for me, the first challenge which comes to us is whether it is listed, this ingredient is listed in your regulation or not. So the regulation part is very, very important, and in FSSAI, I should not say, but it's very gray area where we don't have much clarities on the regulations and which we need to improve upon. If we don't do that, there is a chance to there is a less possibility to grow this field. So it's very, very important area. Secondly, if I come to the technical part where the standardization of your food products is very, very important. And being a complex nature of the herbal and the plant-based products, analyzing of the chemical constituents is again become big challenge for us. So the technological advanced lab or instrumentation labs is very, very important to analyze those contents. So you must have heard about HPTLC, which is is a good instrument which can be used for the herbal ingredients, fingerprinting of the ingredients. So that is we should think about setting or the policies towards that the infrastructures toward the testing of the herbal ingredients is equally important. This is the second aspect, that challenge we are seeing right now. And third point where we talk about the labeling part. So it is very, very important to build the customer trust on your label, what you are putting on your label, whether how much protein is there, carbohydrates, fat, and what you are adding into it. It's very, very important. So if there is a false claim, the trust of the consumer goes. So it is equally important. That's
lovely. Thank you so much on this, Purushottam. Pranjali, I'll come back to you. So I get into, because you are already busy in your own venture, but which are the other areas which an entrepreneur or a student can get into in plant-based foods today? And what is the right way to start? What should be the first door they should try to knock?
I think that's a very relevant question, and I think even though we are running a plant-based meat startup, we still keep on thinking what other thing can be done in this space. So I think that's a constant thing in the mind of entrepreneurs. But I think a very big category is definitely in terms of the ingredients. Because right now, if you see, majority of brands are trying to come up with protein-based products, and even in the plant-based category, in the nutraceutical segment, a lot of people are trying to come up with healthier products, and ingredients is something that is very, very important, and the right specification of ingredients is something that is still missing in the Indian ecosystem. So even from my journey, when we started out, we used to import all our proteins from Netherlands and Denmark. And that was a very costly affair for us because you have to pay duties and everything. And in India, we took almost 1.5 years to actually work with a protein manufacturer to actually reduce the sodium content in the protein. And that's because, there is a lot of buzz around, plant-based meats are unhealthy and it has a lot of sodium, but the sodium is actually coming from the protein content of it. It's not something that we have added on to it. So that is something that we have actually worked upon over the course of time. And we realized that ingredients like your clean label binders, emulsifiers, flavors which are natural, these are some things which are already being worked upon in very detailing by global pioneers like Unilever, Nestle, and like other brands as well. And that is something which has a huge potential to be done in the Indian market. I think young entrepreneurs should really look at which industries are booming and try to pick what ingredients or what is something that is there in the downstream processing that they can take care of. So I think that is one avenue definitely which they can take up. Another thing is, I think in terms of the food, nutraceutical side of it, nootropic beverages, nootropic food items, in fact, products which are essentially performance based, they are doing really well. So if you are looking to get into starting your own venture, this could be a really good space for you. Other than that, I think supply chain is something that needs to be really worked upon, because essentially if I talk about plant-based meats or even in terms of plant-based dairy and tofu, tempeh, anything, majority of them are either frozen and they require cold chain. So either they'll be refrigerated or frozen. And cold logistics becomes a very big challenge because in India it's very, very erratic. Firstly because of the high temperatures, also because if you are positioning the product in a retail store as well, you don't know if the refrigerator would be turned on the entire night. So I think these are very few, like very small things, but when you are actually running a business, it becomes a very huge headache for you. So if somebody is actually able to come and solve the logistical challenges of it, is able to provide the right cold chain, I think that's something which has a huge, huge potential.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Very helpful and very good business ideas. Raj, I'll move on to you. What is the role World Bank is trying to play here? Which are various initiatives, which are various programs which you are running in this particular area, and especially the ones which are targeted towards supporting MSMEs, entrepreneurs, startups?
Yeah, thank you so much. While answering that, I will prelude to the question which Pranjali has also answered very emphatically. We at World Bank, we support federal government, because federal government is the shareholder in World Bank. So as a member state, they have the right to see how the development direction, gets forward. And then we support the subnational governments also and the state-owned enterprises. We have 3 wings. One is IBRD, that is what I belong from. And we have International Finance Corporation, which supports private sector who are getting into. So I'm sharing this because many of the entrepreneurs or the MSMEs who would be interested for private sector equity or debt, they can look for that. IFC is the window. And there is a MEGA which gives the guarantee. That's a differently structure to provide large scale guarantee program. Let's focus on the World Bank IBRD side. What we are doing, I'm supporting various programs across India, from Jammu Kashmir to Tamil Nadu to Nagaland to this, various states have programs. I support on the agribusiness side. I come from food and agriculture. Similarly, we have health and nutrition global practice, we have water global practice, environment global practice, and we cross connect and support that. What we do that within this space, we support the production systems, aligning with, with the market requirements. We encourage private sector participation who could join hands, with those producers, farmer producer organizations and all, so that their, entry point and upstream work gets relieved. They can then focus on the market side, and the farmers also benefit. That's the larger focus. I am supporting one project in Tripura and Nagaland, which I want to stress, for the plant-based understanding, and which the earlier answer I gave on the bioresources side. We are doing an interesting approach here. It's a landscape approach. That, how do you see an entire landscape, its bioresources, its opportunities, challenges, fix the ecological, challenges there, and create the opportunities for the, people to plug in. Therein, we are advocating one forest-based entrepreneurship. So many of you who will be interested to see that how bioresources could get into market and all, you will find it interesting. Similarly, there are scopes of large private sector also who would like to use these bioresources systematically, would like to get the public funded upstream investments in the collection, aggregation, some primary processing, and do that tertiary value add later on. They can find it interesting. So this is in nutshell about seeing that how market opportunities could be dovetailed to benefit the farmers. Yeah. That's the largely where we come from, and we'll be happy to support partnerships and all. Just few seconds on the earlier question on entrepreneurship side. And that's kind of my experience from private sector prior to World Bank and being here last 25 years. I think we need to think about our value creation effort. Sometimes we get too much in the specific of customer need and all, but what is the total value creation we are offering? So for say plant-based product, yesterday in the inaugural session, Honorable Prime Minister emphasized and he announced that GST on biodegradable plastic has been slashed to 5%. I was wondering that wish it could have been made 0, because that is where the plant-based customers are looking for a total value. So how do we put efforts as an entrepreneur to not only give the health value primarily for the customer, but also the ecological value and other value tucked there. So thereby then we can enter the number 2 on the cold chain side. Just quick few seconds. If you land in Bangkok or anywhere in the Southeast Asia, you'll find dehydrated products everywhere. Mango dehydration, pineapple and whatnot, guava and all. So I see water as an enabler. So water, irrigation, you produce, take out water, increase the shelf life, make that product available. So you don't need cold chain for that. Cold chain of course will be required for the other sophisticated products. But to start with, I think we need to think simple. Think that what are the simple technologies which can help me standardization and other assimilation and requirements, and bombard the market with such health products. And therein not only large players but small players can play an active role there. I thought to just second your idea on that. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Raj. Anton, coming to you. Sorry, I'm going to keep asking you difficult questions. My wife has given some questions from her kitchen perspective, what all should be done. So, I spoke about Silbatta. I don't know how many of you know Silbatta, right? Basically, for the people from outside India, it's I don't know how do you explain, but it's basically stones made from stones and marbles. Traditional grinder. Thank you so much. And similarly, an atta chakki, right?
It's not traditional anymore.
Yeah, it's not traditional anymore.
Up-end markets now, they are getting back into that.
Yeah.
Cold press oil and wood.
Right. So don't give the answer. Let Anton give the answer. I want it difficult for him. So Anton, what are you? So on a serious note, I think these are the things which we are forgetting, unfortunately. And there was a science behind these things. They were not just randomly used, right? The science, what I understood from my read, is that slow grinding is important. Right temperature grinding is important to retain the nutritional value as well as, of course, the taste of the particular item. So how are you catering to that part in your supply chain, in your machineries, in your technology equipment? Are you really working on that? And then if yes, some examples or some of the things which you are focusing on right now?
Yeah, it's really a very interesting question. I wouldn't say it's a difficult question because we see in the market a lot of people talking about conventional method of getting things done. I mean, even if you go into the confectionery, which is there are still people using stone grinders to get the chocolates out. So, but then at what quantum and at what quality they are getting, and what is the focus? What is that they want? So when it comes to plant-based food or even protein shifting, what is the focus we wanted to have? Whether you want to have the fine fraction protein concentrates as a focus, or whether you want to have the starch as a focus. So you really have to understand between the two. And here actually what is more important is pre-processing requirements are there. Now let's take the case of a yellow chickpea. I mean, you need to go through a certain cleaning process for that. And after cleaning, you have to dry it, and then it has to go through a process called dehull. Dehulling is nothing but you are removing this cover from the, and then it has to go through the milling process to, reduce in particle size. And then, as I also mentioned earlier, that it goes through the second step of classifying, where you basically, differentiate, split between the fine protein concentrates and the starch. Now, when you are doing these process and when you are comparing this to the, the stone grinding, which is basically a one-step method you are using, the question which is coming that whether how we are controlling the temperature, whether there is going to be an effect on the nutritional losses, generally not, because the mechanical process what we are using, there are certain systems which we are adopting to even keep the temperatures at a certain control level. Normally for these application you are not going to use a very high intense milling. Yes, you are going to do a milling. When you are doing grinding, it is a friction. There's going to be a heat generation for sure, but then this heat generation is well within the level where a protein substance can denaturate. See, normally we talk about something denaturating at a temperature above 120 degrees plus. To lose the natural effect, denaturation. Yeah. So 120 degrees above, if you are going, you tend to lose these properties. But normally it doesn't happen. It normally happens with a plus minus 5 or 10 degrees from the atmospheric temperature. Now, coming to the fact that sometimes in some of the regions where even the atmospheric temperature can go up to 45-50 degrees also. I mean, there we do have a method to cool the system. So the entire system is coming with all the safety limits, with all the cooling facility to safeguard the the natural part of the recipe and the ingredients and the nutritional part.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. You're giving easy answers to my difficult questions, but very, very helpful, very insightful. Thank you. Purushottam, you spoke about standards, specifications, regulatory aspects. Globally, or even at India level, while I'm sure FSSAI, Health Ministry, Food Processing Ministry, we're working towards that, but how is harmonization being taken care of at the global level? Are there any standards being defined? Are there any specifications being put in place? And what is it that the businesses or the MSMEs or entrepreneurs will need to keep in mind?
Regulation and trade, there are two important aspects. Until unless we meet the regulations, trade cannot happen, right? So in India, the food regulation is done by the FSSAI. Similarly, globally, for US, Europe, they have their own standards, they have their own regulations. Now the important point is how to harmonize those, right? So for the plant-based food, if we talk about, they have different nomenclatures, they have their different classifications. We have our different names, classifications. Until unless the Indian regulations are aligned with the high standards of US and Europe, the entering into the global market would be very difficult and that's challenging. So I request our government or the those who are working on this area should think about it and how to harmonize those parts and show our regulations should be so crystal clear everybody can understand and make the business very easy or strategies. Secondly, this regulations, when we talk about from Indian and global market, we know about ICH, International Conference on Harmonization, which is applicable for pharmaceuticals. So there should be some system or ecosystem which can be created, and we can harmonize gases.
Sure, lovely. Thank you. Very,
Thanks.
very helpful. Finally, before I move to the audience and request them for any questions if they may have, Vikas, just wanting to understand again, since our audience has a lot of entrepreneurs, startups, students, what are some of the opportunities in the R&D and innovation space which an entrepreneur could look at?
I think it's the most fertile ground when it comes to the food and beverage innovation landscape right now. I think there has been a lot of things which have been said about stuff. I feel that the startup ecosystem is where the real innovation happens. Their hunger to succeed is very high. They are far more agile and nimble, okay, and sometimes nothing to lose. Okay, while with a lot of big brands, the challenge is they have the legacy of the brand. And therefore they are far more pragmatic. So if you see worldwide, and it's not so much in India to that extent, but globally, a lot of innovation has been led by startups. And they are the ones who are the, I would say, trendsetters. Organizations watch it closely, and at a point of time where they think there is enough substance, there's a tendency to pivot, is where, they start investing into that startup or they take over. So I think I would rather put it other way around. I think the startup has been the where innovation is happening, and industry then picks that up, and that's where the scale expansion happens at a very rapid pace. If I say Tata Consumer, when we came into existence in 2020, we have been doing very similar stuff. Soulful was a startup which was deeply into millets, and the kind of innovation what they have been driving, very impressive stuff. So yes, we took on the Soulful. Tata Soulful came into existence, and we took off from there. There are so many examples we can do. In India, it's also picking up. We have seen similar trend, whether it is nutraceutical play, health and wellness. I would say while we have spoken a lot about what good entrepreneurs do, I think where industry takes lead is understanding where consumers are going. I think we do invest a lot into consumer trends, mapping, etc. So collaboration wherein we understand what consumer unmet needs are, but we may not have the technology, we may not have resources to go behind one tiny opportunity. That's where the startup ecosystem can come and make the difference. So whether it is health, I feel today the biggest opportunity is health and wellness. Backed with sustainability, organic proposition, you can put multiple layers to it. You can have a complete discussion on how these tools can come together, but I consider it's the most fertile, and that's where the real opportunity is.
Sure, very helpful. You've been very encouraging and appreciating of the startups. Pranjali has been blushing all the time. You've been appreciating startups. Thank you so much. I'll come to the audience. If you have any questions for any of the panelists or in general. Yes, please.
Thank you everyone on the panel. This has been super insightful. My name is Akash. I'm a co-founder of High Time Foods. We are a plant-based protein startup. We started off in the US and we recently moved our headquarters to India. My question is for you, Vikas. 2022, Tata had launched the Simply Better range. The kind of insights that a company like yours would actually get would be outstanding. Curious about anything that you can share in terms of what was a win, what was a realization, what do you think is an opportunity there? And second is, I think just to follow up to that is, where are you guys right now? Like, how do you look at the space currently, and what is there something that you're waiting for to enter back?
Akash, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Akash.
It's like a presentation you're making to your board now, the kind of questions.
No, not at all. No, Akash, I'll keep it very simple. I think it was insane learning. I have some of my team members here sitting, but I can tell you this was one of the fastest launch we did, and we did with collaboration. We didn't do it ourselves. Okay. The learning has been people are looking for plant-based solutions because these days trends travel very fast. There was a point in time it used to take 10 years for a trend investor market to reach India, but thanks to social media, Instagram, and a lot of Gen Z population in India, things travel much faster. So there was a lot of attempt to try it. Okay, and I think in the initial context setting I did speak about it, but it did not click. Vegetarian guy didn't try it because they felt that it still smells like non-veg, and it is against my ethos. Non-vegetarian guys felt let's say unsatisfactory, to the extent it was like there is too much hype. I tried, and they are constantly trying to benchmark in their head. It is like chicken nugget. It's not chicken nugget. Okay, so those were some of the learnings. I think to avoid just to this one, there are two bits to it. I think the proposition could be, why you have to sell it as a meat? I can sell it as a healthy protein snack. I think that's what people are missing the trick. We are not Western market. We are not meat eaters. 80% of so-called claiming non-vegetarians in India, actually 5 days a week they eat vegetarian meal. Yeah, आजकल नवरात्रि चल रहे हैं. So even people are forced. So there are multiple such social reasons, religious reasons, etc. I think the proposition need to change, and then acceptance will multiply a lot. Yes, we are very much committed as an organization to a protein platform. I would say protein is a bigger play. Plant protein is a subset to it. As an organization, you would like to cater to all set of consumers. There are consumers who still are looking for protein powders which are whey-based, but then there are a set of consumers who want plant protein. So you need to cater different segments. Yeah, I'll keep it brief. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Yes, before I think this will be the last question because you will be standing between the audience and lunch. So, or maybe two questions. Yes, please go ahead.
First of all, thank you all the people sitting here and giving a brief about it. And I would like to actually just point out two things which were very important, pointed out by Pranjali and obviously added by Raj. It's like ingredients. While we talk about it, just trend started and it ends up in food chain, and we get the food specs and everything working by the government, but we have something in terms of ingredient specs, safety, and how the ingredient parameters needs to be defined. There could be lack in that where industry fails. Most of these are intermediate products. When it reaches from one part of the country to the other, how the parameters, specs needs to be revised. Maybe when it is an intermediate product or sold versus sold as a finished goods needs to be an area which needs still not that much be touched upon. And secondly, the supply chain, as you mentioned. So maybe that's maybe the two ingredient parts of it. I will just add up to a question. A part of it you already answered, that the trend and the proposition needs to change. I mean, the question was around that only. So we see a plant-based meat so much. So what exactly? First is, why is this? Is this a consumer trend? How it came? And if we are driving it in the chain, how we are driving it, or maybe as an industry you guys are driving it in terms of changing this proposition, like why this is a need to be called it as a meat, why it's not be healthy. So we are doing anything around it? So you're an industry people, so
sure. So I think for us, what we've noticed in the last 3 years is that the positioning of the product will keep on changing basis what is the need of the market. So I think when we started out, plant-based as a category was a very big trend. It was really booming, and we positioned the product as a plant-based product. But what Vikas also mentioned, that over the course of time, we've also realized that people don't want to consume plant-based meats in India. So essentially, you don't have to call it that it's an alternative to meat, because the meat consumers would not like it and the vegetarians would not try it. So you have to position it in a way that it becomes a high protein and a nutritious product which can cater to both the sets of consumers. And if you see the European market, or maybe the US market, Singapore market, there is a separate category of plant-based products altogether. So if you walk into a retail store, there are 3 separate counters. So there is one for meat, there is one for vegetarian food, and there is one for plant-based. So I think that category development or category creation will happen in India in the next 2 to 3 years. The separate category will be there, and by that time you have to make sure that the people are trying the products and they are adapting that in their daily diet, and it's actually being incorporated in their daily lifestyle. So I think that is something that brands need to focus on at the moment. And I think the entire consortium of startups, in fact the government, institutions really needs to push in a way that we have regulations around the plant-based products which can give consumers the confidence that okay, these products are safe to be consumed, this is a separate category and it's up and coming, it's healthier for them, and I think that's how the entire category would grow, and that's how brand should also position it in a way. So for us also, we call the brand ProMeat, and we are also looking at how exactly we can make it more relevant so that we can target both the sets of consumers. So I think that's my
I'll just add one, on this aspect. What is the role of MOCPI, and the government, public policy? I think, what I'm saying here is that, the category is decided by the, other countries and then we have a trap that, we get into that. Okay, plant-based product category in Singapore market, and then we start positioning. Where the industry can work with the ministry to see that, how we can, lead the benchmark little up, how the way Mediterranean diets, or the European diets are being positioned in the market. I think this is high time that India with a significant, a value proposition and the strength, and the Ayush, Ahar and other heritage products and the traditional diversity and the bioresources we have. We need to create that health awareness, as Vikas, you were telling, and see that how our turmeric, how our drumstick, how our other products gets positioned in international market from as the Indian wellness products there. You guys have to be the torch bearers to see that how the plants or the resources from here gets rightly developed and positioned there in international market. Currently, I tell you that walk outside India in the self space, Indian products are quite marginal.
Hi, thank you for the insights you have given, and I am the founder of Fleen. So we help customers find the right food, or let's say clean food in the market. So this is what we are doing. So my question to Vikas is specifically, so because you are from the R&D department, so if you see, we have talked about like protein enough in this whole discussion, right? So when we talk about food, it all comes to macros and micros, right? So my question is that if we know that in the plant-based food, there is always a bioavailability issue of protein, right? Is there anything which we are doing about it? And if there is any market available for that in the, let's say, Indian context also and the international context also? So what we can do and how we can kind of like tap onto that side of it and make a business out of it.
So I'll keep it short because Abhishek is concerned about everybody getting lunch. The answer to your question is big yes. Okay. Again, I'll talk from my experience. As we speak, we have at least 3 collaborations with various academic institutes, only focusing on pulses. Okay, and the major focus is around how do you take care of anti-nutritional factors. How do you make, in fact, we are working with MOFPI and with NIFTIM Institute along with FSSAI. Any of you guys, please walk into Tech Pavilion. We have set up a stall there. And we are showcasing, we are working with the ecosystem to get F+ logo on pulses. So there are 5 categories where F+ logo exists. Okay. This is being with iron, B12, etc., which is, we have worked with partners to create technology, working with NIFTIM to get the bioavailability data, and hopefully with scientific panel at FSSA to get it approved. So just an example to draw, but the fact is, I believe personally that we have to work on the commodities and increase the nutritional profile, either up it what you need in those ones or get down what you don't need. So I'll keep it short to that extent, but answer is yes.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Very helpful. With that, we come to an end. Thank you so much, all of you, first of all, for your patience hearing and for the questions. And thank you, all of you, for sparing time. Special thanks to Anton, my friend, for answering my difficult questions. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you sparing time for this. Thank you, everybody. We just have a small token of appreciation for all of you.
Thank you to our esteemed speakers and our moderator. So now I would like to invite Mr. Abhishek sir to please felicitate Mr. Vikas Gupta.
Picture is important. Thank you.
Ms. Pranjali Garg. Mr. Raj Ganguly, sir. Mr. Anton Benjamin. Mr. Purushottam Nagar. One second. So, may I invite Mr. Sanket Mishra to felicitate our moderator, Mr. Abhishek sir. On behalf of World Food India 2025, I extend my heartful thanks to all our speakers for sharing their insights and to our audience for your keen participation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a big round of applause to our panel.